Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Elena and Seraph hybrid deck. A little bit of an interesting one, just because Elena and Seraph aren't usually tied together quite like this. Of course, with the globes being great for both decks, so that's always going to be an auto include. But using the healing and just some general board clears, while also taking advantage of Star Torrent and stuff to really clear away some of the early game, it does quite well. I've had a good amount of success with it. Either of the White Wing, not too much of a major thing. I mean, honestly, putting one of the random highest cost Haven followers basically is only pulling Tenko. That's literally its only use, which is why you're running one of it. Otherwise, you just use your Decrees for clear. Dark Offering gives you a nice little bit of draw power in the deck, while at the same time providing healing, which combos nicely with the Elena. The Instatued Seraph, of course, combos with the Star Torrent and the Healing Prayer really nicely as well, so you can easily proc it, especially since you're not looking for like an OTK Instatued Seraph. You're normally just looking for over a couple of turns. You play Instatude on curve and you hopefully proc it turn 10 at the latest, just purely based on itself. Otherwise, plenty of control options, a good buffing system. This is what make this deck pretty solid, so hopefully you enjoy it and we'll get right into some games. So game 1 here is against Sword, a reasonably quick game because when you do lock down the early game you can pretty much demolish most Sword decks. So we start off with pretty crappy hand against Sword, and of course even crappier getting our higher drops. You really want to be able to curve that into Elena nicely, so if you can globe into Beast Call into Elena, you're normally going to be set. Of course, you're not always that lucky. Fortunately though, we do get the Princess Snow White, which is a nice card to have against Sword, and of course the Banish. So we'd play the Princess over the Beast Call just because it is a more priority card against Sword, because they are going to be looking for that early game normally, which Sword has passed the last 3 turns, which made this match a little easier. Basically giving us free reign to play what we want. 11 Vanguard. Not playing it with its ability is definitely not as good. You really want to get those extra 2/1/1s. But we can basically use the Banish here, build up a good cudgel. We're going to have a nice Beast Call coming down in a couple turns, and we have plenty of removal, so now we just have to play out the game. As long as we don't see anything too surprising, we should be able to do that. So Albert, pretty expected on 5 when they didn't have anything in the early game. I mean, it means they've probably got all their late drops. So Albert was going to be the more likely outcome. Honestly, against these Sword decks, they're really easy to pick off with the majority of classes at the moment, just because Sword doesn't have anything concrete to really kill everyone. Usually Sword will either be dominating or get dominated in a lot of your matchups. So we finally pull off the globe. Not really necessary at this point, but a nice card to have. Especially because of the draw power, which is the main reason I played them out this early, because by the time Seraph comes around, they should be pretty much proccing, which gives us a good chance at drawing what we need. Plus I also wanted to hold on to the Decree, and the Tenko wasn't really a necessary play there. Especially without any Elena on board yet, which was one card I would have loved to have been able to search for, but fortunately it's not that easy to get. But can finally throw out the Tenko. Why not? Don't need the healing, not too worried about it on its own. Next turn we're going to be playing Instatude anyway, so if we put something on board that has to be cleared this turn, they're more likely to throw out what they need to do it. Meaning I can pretty much play this Instatude for free without any concern. I can't think of any card Sword has that would threaten Instatude Seraph on its own. No one really runs Odin and stuff anymore, so they're not going to be banishing it. And even if they did, Instatude Seraph could be an easy follow-up. Not so great though. A 10 damage Albert. But we do get a chance with our double draw. And we've got the clear on board. Decree just completely demolishing it. So even with another Albert next turn, they would still be missing 4 damage. And all I really need to do is survive, so not too difficult to do. So I decided to go the Dark Offering route, healing for 3, puts us just out of range of this Albert here. And they're going to need to find another at least, 6 damage with all this healing. So they would have needed another Albert or a... Oh, well, actually I can't think of anything else. They would have needed double Albert. There isn't many other combos, maybe triple Juliet or something, but the odds of that would be a lot lower. And next to match up is a Haven deck. Stormhaven is becoming quite popular, or at least has been. And with us having a pretty good matchup against most aggressive decks, just because we do have that Elena package in the deck. This deck is very all-roundish. I mean, it handles itself quite well against aggro, handles itself quite well against control, really sets a clock with that Instatude Seraph. The only probably difficult matchup may be a Vengeance deck, which I haven't come up against many lately, so it's hard to really say. Otherwise, I guess an aggressive Forest that puts too much pressure on you could really threaten you as well. But outside of those, I don't see this deck having too many rough contenders. They'll mostly be pretty close matches, where it's going to be, do you have a guard draw, do you not have a guard draw. So we can set this up nicely. I could have Hollow Dogma and forced them to deal with the Beast Call. Do decide to take the Elena though, just because I want to get it onto the board now, so I can take advantage of it later. And because I know they're going to be proccing their own here. Playing out a Beast Call and lowering it to 1, just so I can fill my board next turn. I've already got Rabbit, I've got Tenko. If I need the healing, it's all there.
Look at you. You're hurt.
Knowing they're Elena is a pretty safe bet. As long as they aren't their own hybrid, we should be in an okay position. So 2 very easy trades here. I really should have played the Tenko though, but the Priest was just too good a value. Being able to use the Priest to remove both of these effectively, while leaving up both 4/4s against a Haven deck is just so good. The more bodies you can have with the more stats, the better off you are. So, forced out the Decree, which isn't so bad. I mean, we can just drop this Tenko without too much issue. Force them to have to deal with it. And if they're always playing on the reactive side of things, we're more likely to have an advantage. Especially with our own Decree able to clear this out. But we are focusing on that Instatude Seraph. Once that thing can drop, it does put a nice clock on the game. And since Decree is coming into turn 7, they really would need to restock the board a lot for it to matter next turn. For Beast Colaria, no real threat. Pretty much a free turn to drop this Seraph. And we've also got the Healing Prayer, the Tenko, the Rabbit Healer. We've got the healing we need, along with the fact that we've got a Globe in our hand as well if we want more draw. And another Healing Rabbit. So, honestly, probably better off I played a Healing Rabbit or Tenko there than I played that, but digging stuff out isn't always too bad. And I get some decent value here anyway. So we get the heals. get to play out what we want. We already have the Hollow Dogma in our hand, so Seraph is only going to need one more proc after that. So if we can fish out what we need, we should be okay. But fortunately they do concede anyway. And our final match, probably one of our easier matchups I've found so far, is Dragon. Dragon doesn't tend to roll you over too hard against this deck, not unless they get their combo off pretty much straight away. Just because the healing puts them under a lot of pressure to clear, and Bahamuts don't work very well against Seraph, so it's always a good advantage to have. The only really thing that you've got to worry about is the Queen Dread, which that combo is horrible. So we get pretty much the perfect curve here, being able to play this Beast Call, follow up with an Elena, turn 4 if we choose to drop Snow White and Rabbit Healer together. Just leaves us with so many good options. They do go for the Dragoon Scyther though, keep things interesting. And luckily we do get another Elena's Prayer, which changed my mind a little bit, knowing that we're going to have the Beast Call proc next turn. Saving that Elena's Prayer so we can play both at the same time might be the better choice. So this is a PDK Dragon deck. I'm guessing a more aggressive style deck, based on how PDK normally was played. And we have a pretty good setup. Priest gets pretty much full value here, removing both of the followers while allowing Snow White to trade. I just haven't really had the biggest use to play our healing on curve a lot in these sort of matchups. It's situations like this that become a little awkward, but still quite easy to deal with. So we have another Elena's Prayer in our hand. We've also got the Rabbit Healer. Works quite nicely with the Snow White once you trade it to give both things a double boost. And we know that Globe is going to proc next turn, leaving a space on board if we need it. And if we do need to clear, Decree will do that job. And then in Statute Seraph, since this Dragon hasn't ramped at all, we're not under any pressure to really have to deal with anything. Sibyl's not a problem. Seraph will get over that without worrying about health total.
Time to say goodbye.
A dance to make the world blue.
And all we really need to do is trade into that. Lucky for me, Healing Angel plus an Evolve point is going to allow us to leave both these followers up. And Healing Prayer is going to be the perfect card to play in the following turn. Well, turn 9 when in Statute's playable. So we don't worry about filling the board just because if I can't play in Statute, I have got that Healing Prayer, and with that, that boost would be well and truly enough to actually trade into them, provided they don't clear us out anyway. And if they do, it's a free board. So from here, Dragon pretty much has no decent chance. I mean, next turn we get to drop that by 2. By the time they're in turn 10, they're pretty screwed. Unfortunately though, these do make it more difficult if I don't draw into what I need, which unfortunately I don't believe I do. Not drawing into another drop is really difficult. But I do make a pretty large mistake there. I really should have just played the Star Torrent, forgetting that it deals 1 to the board. It would have removed both those followers and dropped, and I could have added some healing as well, which would have put me at a lot less risk of actually dying in the long run. And the next turn's proc would have been enough to end the game, so Star Torrent definitely would have been the better play. So I hope you guys enjoy this deck. I'll probably keep playing it because it's just fun, it's good, and get it in before rotation. It's just yeah, great fun to play. I enjoy a lot of these Haven decks, and this one in particular has a good amount of variety in both Elena and the Seraph plays to keep your opponents guessing while at the same time having some fun yourself. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe. You'll find deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.